Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Michael Kotzenmoyer, I'm your host today. We'll get started in about 60 seconds. We're just going to give people a chance to join. I see a few more coming in right now, so bear with us. We'll be underway in just a moment. All right, everyone. In the interest of time, we're going to kick it off here. It's just a minute past the hour, so apologies to those who join us late, but we're going to get underway. As I said, my name is Michael Kotzenmoyer. My role today is host, so I have the light duty. I'm joined by two distinguished guests who I'll introduce in just a moment. And so just to set the stage, today's session, as you're probably well aware, is dedicated to a new partnership between J.E. Brown, Appulate, and the folks at Hiscox now. So a couple of webinar logistics. As always, we have everybody in listen-only mode. That's just to respect everyone's audio experience. We do, however, encourage questions. You can enter those at any time in the question section of your dashboard. We'll probably reserve those to the end, just again, to respect everybody's time and in case your question gets answered along the way. We're scheduled to run about 45 minutes, give or take today, Q&A notwithstanding. And we welcome your feedback after today's session. So you can always reach out to us at jebrown.net, reach us at 800-955-8213, or your regional sales manager is happy to assist. All right, so on to the introductions. As I mentioned, I'm joined by two panelists today, Will Chambers of Hiscox and Sarah Johnson of Appulate. Sarah's going to be driving the bulk of our demo, and will chime in at the appropriate times. So the last thing I want to touch upon here is just sort of setting the table for why this partnership arose. If there's one thing I know about our customers, J.E. Brown's customers, it's that in large part, they appreciate having autonomy and the ability to work on their own time and have as much control over the business that they write as possible. And so the way that we're delivering that, and this partnership is certainly no exception, but the way that we deliver that is these 3 bullet points that you see on the screen here. We're always looking for new tools to provide to our customers to increase their efficiency. We're also leveraging technology to empower our customers to put the control in your hands. And we're always trying to make writing small business profitable. We write a lot of small accounts, and sometimes folks look at those like they're not worth their time. So the key is to be efficient and to get through them quickly so that they are profitable. So without further ado, I'm going to turn.
Michael, are you still there? I think we may have lost your audio.
I'm here.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. I hear you now. You cut off for just a second.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, so much for
here.
Good to go. I do have it. I'm able to share my screen. I am going to stick it in this kind of view just because we're going to get into the demo here very shortly. But again, thank you, Michael and Will, so much for having me. My name is Sarah Johnson. I am the agent ambassador for Appulate, and I'm going to be taking us through the demo portion of our training today. So Appulate is here to help you expand your markets, automate your workflow, all while saving you time and money. With J.E. Brown and the Hiscox partnership with Appulate, with the system, and you will see it live in action today, you'll see that seamless rate quote bind experience. So again, just very happy to have you all here. So we're going to give you just a quick view of Appulate. We had polled our agents earlier this year, so this is just going to give you a quick view of how efficient Appulate can be and is, and help you save money in the long run. So our agents on our poll are averaging about 40 submissions per month. Using the Appulate system, it's saving them about 37 minutes per submission, saving the average agent around 25 hours per month, with that average dollar savings being $7,114 per agent. So you can see, I think every agent out there would love to have an extra $7,000 in their pocket. So utilizing the Appulate system to be able to help you get that time back really is here for you. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and get into the training. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. Before I do want to talk about one of the tools that is crucial to Appulate that we will be utilizing today, and that is the Appulate Uplink tool. This is a simple print driver that's complementary to any agency management system that is going to allow you as the agent that if you utilize Accord forms, either generated from your agency management system or native Accords, which is the example I will be using today, the Uplink tool is going to be able to bridge over the information from the Appulate system or from the agency management system or Accord into the Appulate system. So to download Uplink is free for you to do. Go ahead and log into Appulate. You would locate tools up here in the tools menu. Choose Appulate Uplink from that drop down. It will take you to the screen. If you may choose to specify your agency management system, if you decide not to do so or do not see your agency management system in the list of AMSs, don't worry. I'm going to go ahead and select other for the purposes of the training today and type in none. And then I would download the driver. It takes roughly a minute to install. Once installed, it will show up as a print driver, which you're going to see me use today. However, if you are an agency on the call today that does not utilize Accord forms, don't worry, Appulate is still for you. Go ahead and you would just click on All Insured from the drop-down menu, and it's as easy as clicking Add New Customer or Prospect. You would type in the name of that customer or prospect and click Continue. Then verify the line of business. So it's as simple as that. However, for the purposes of the training today, we're going to now get into the workflow using Uplink. So I'm going to go ahead and open up an Accord form. This is my sample Accord form that I will be utilizing today. Sorry, give it just 1 second to populate. There we go. Now, this is an Accord 125. You can see that it is completed based off of the information that we had already entered, but I don't want to have to rekey this information, which is where the Appulate Uplink print driver is going to come in. So once Appulate Uplink is downloaded, simply locate print either in your AMS, or I'm using a native Accord environment, so I would just click print as I have done so. Most workstations will default to whatever your default printer is. However, once Uplink is installed, just go ahead and click the drop-down menu. You'll find that Appulate Uplink shows up as an available printer in your list. From there, you would click print and verify your Appulate credentials. But there's one other really nifty way that agents love, and so I show it every single time, and that's the shortcut feature. So this is that same Accord form that I had opened up. I'm simply going to right-click on that Accord form. You'll see that Uplink shows up as a shortcut feature. If I click Uplink, the result's going to be the same. We're going to validate our Appulate credentials. I'm going to go ahead and use separate credentials for this one. All you have to do is enter them in one time, and the system will remember those credentials for all further transactions, so there's no need to rekey credential information either. We're going to go ahead and hit send. The system's going to open up Appulate, automatically log me in. We're going to confirm the line of business that we're working on and click continue. If there is an insured in your Appulate account with the same name, you will have the option to update an existing insured submission that you may have previously started or create a new insured. For the purposes of the training today, I'm going to create a new insured and click continue. The system will then default to the master Q&A section of our submission. You can see here that all of our information from my Accord form has been bridged over. However, we need to add our market. So we're going to click the plus sign under add market up here up at the top. I'm going to locate J.E. Brown and move forward. So we're going to kind of move our view over now to the middle of the screen. You're going to see that these letter indicators that are going to help you move through your submission, and they provide very helpful information. So Of course, we're getting a red D for decline right now due to the past effective date. However, this is really easy to fix. You know, that past effective date was due to a previous effective date on my Accord form. So simply up here at the top in the submission tab, you can see that I can click on that effective date and easily move it forward to a new effective date. It automatically updates. Oh, sorry about that. It's going to automatically update the expiration date. We'll go ahead and hit save. And now our letter indicator has changed to an orange A for accepted. We do want to update our limits. So we'll go ahead and do 1 million, 2 million, save and close. We'll update 1 million, 2 million as well, save and close. We'll go back to our letter indicators now. You can see that because we have this orange A for accepted, we are being asked to provide some missing and required information in order to proceed with our submission. So you may choose to use the live and dynamic links that are provided by our letter indicator. All you would do is go ahead and click on that letter indicator. It's going to highlight the question that you need to answer in a big red box. You would simply answer that question. Just 1 second, I'm going to pull the line of business. And as soon as I do, you can see that that little red indicator that was next to the question has disappeared, and then that question no longer shows up in the live and dynamic links list. So you don't have to rekey the same information over and over again. One other way, if you didn't like the live and dynamic links way of answering the questions in the Appulate system, you may choose to utilize the tabs way of answering questions down here at the bottom. This is just saying, you know, in the subject section, there's one missing and required question that must be addressed before you can proceed. You can see that in this instance, the letter indicator is next to a table. You know it's a table because of the arrow next to it. So we'll go ahead and expand that. You can see that the question here is, you know, primary location. If I hover over the letter indicator, the question is exactly the same. So there's no right or wrong way to answer these questions, whether your preferred method is the letter indicator or the tabs way, whatever works best for you. So I'm going to go ahead and answer these questions. We're going to move forward, finish answering what is left. I'm going to utilize the nice little mark all as no button here.
And this is Will from Hiscox. Hi, everybody. Good morning. I haven't spoken yet, so I did
Sorry,
just want
to.
to. No, yeah, I just wanted to put this in context a little bit. I know that some of you will have already used the Hiscox Now portal before. I mean, you understand how easy it is to transact business on there. I will, throughout this demo from Sarah, kind of be chiming in with a couple of ways that Appulate enhances that experience that Hiscox Now already offers. So one is that dynamic question set where you can check and see exactly what questions need to be answered. Yeah, exactly what Sarah's hovering over. This is something that the Hiscox Now application doesn't currently offer. So, you know, I think there are a couple of ways, and we'll go into a few more going forward, that Appulate enhances that experience for you. But this is definitely one of them. You know, it makes it very easy, all on the same page, to be able to see exactly what questions you still need to answer to get the rate and the terms that you want. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you, Will. It truly does. It does simplify the process quite a bit. So I've answered the first section. Now I'm going to click next and continue. You can see how quick and easy it is just to go through the sections and answer the missing and required questions that are left to be answered. Go ahead and enter 0. Oh, sorry about that. Hate it when I hit a tab. Next. No. So very simple. You seamlessly work through the process and answer the questions. Go ahead and click next. Now it is very important that you read the agreement statements here down below. So make sure that you are going through and you know, agreeing to these statements. This is required. This is part of what will come up on the missing and required questions list. Please make sure it's very key to go through this last section under policy info and agree to the statements, and so you are able to move forward. So now we have exactly what we're looking for, which is that green A for accepted. You can see that there are no longer any missing and required questions that have to be answered so that we can submit to J.E. Brown using Hiscox. So I also like to point out that for some reason in training, I get agents who will stop here. They'll get the green A for accepted and the green submit button, but you can clearly see that your status bar is not submitted yet. So if you're ever wondering what the status of a submission is, please take a look at your status bar. It's very key that you go ahead and click on the submit button so that it does go ahead and move forward with requesting the quote and opening up the Hiscox portal. So we'll give it just a second. It does take a few seconds to populate as it's translating the information, from the Appulate system over so that we can request the bind. You can see now that we have the Hiscox quote available here. The quote will always populate underneath the market name. You can see that our status does reflect quote prepared. I'm going to go ahead and open up this quote so you can review it and see exactly what it looks like. I mean, you can see so far in under 15 minutes, we've received a quote. Sorry, Will, go ahead.
No, sure. And for those familiar with Hiscox now, they'll be familiar with this quote document. It's exactly the same document as you'd get if you went through the Hiscox Now journey from soup to nuts. And then, Sarah, before we move on to the next piece, I did just want to point out a couple of aspects of the Appulate submission back on that page. So one thing that's really important and that separates Appulate, in this one, you see that green A, you can see that the risk is accepted. Okay, so that's 2 thumbs up, that's fantastic. But as we all know, not every risk is going to fit every single carrier. What's fantastic about the Appulate system is if you answer one of those questions, especially one of the underwriting questions, in a way that is outside of Hiscox's appetite, it will tell you immediately. So it's going to let you know what question that you answered that triggered it as a decline to quote, and it makes it very simple. You can see in real time whether Hiscox is going to take this risk or not. When you think about the Hiscox Now portal, again, very easy to use, but you only find out it's declined after you go on to the next page. So something that's really fantastic about the Appulate platform is it's saving you, the agent, time every step of the way. The other piece that I wanted to highlight is the forms section. So another thing that kind of sets Appulate apart in a lot of ways is that as you're entering this information into the Appulate application, Accord forms with that information are being populated on the side. So the keystrokes that you're putting in, they're not being wasted. You're not going to have to replicate those at another time. You can take these Accord forms and you could send them in to Michael or into whichever J. Brown contact you're given for underwriting for submissions, and then they can start looking at that risk and giving you other carrier options, whether that be Hiscox Pro products, USLI, you name it. They can provide help still with this risk. So again, something that the Hiscox Now platform, it has a huge amount of positives, but it does not save your information for you to then send on to J. Brown to access other markets. So I think that the form piece is really important. Again, the real live understanding of whether the quote is accepted or whether it's declined or if it needs to be referred and what triggered that is extremely important as well. And then the journey here in the application, it triggers the same quote proposal that you'd get on the Hiscox Now site as well. So just some things I wanted to point out there.
Thanks, Will. I do want to add just a little bit to that. You can also add available forms on the fly. So you can see the two, the Accord 125 was the original Accord that I had uplinked. But if I, click on available forms, you can see that other Accord forms that could possibly be applicable to that line of business also show up. So say for some reason I needed Accord 115, I can select it. It will automatically populate. And then based off of all of the information that was entered in the Appulate system and on my Accord 125, anything that's applicable will auto-fill that other Accord form that I had selected. So that's a really nice feature that can help you, with your additional forms going forward. All right, so now that we have received the quote, we're going to go ahead and click on the request to bind, which is then going to open up the Hiscox portal. And at this point, I'm going to let Will kind of run through the motion. So I'm going to click on Proceed to Bind, and we will move through the system. So right now, Appulate's automatically populating everything over from the Appulate system to the J.E. Brown Hiscox Now portal. We can click on Continue. Awesome. Take it over,
Great.
Will.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. So, so actually, that first page where you saw Choose Products. So, if you could just go back, if you scroll down and go back, Sarah. Thank you. Yeah.
There you
go.
go.
That's okay. So this class of business, through J. Brown and their access to Hiscox, it's only available with regards to general liability. But let's say that you had a management consultant risk or another type of risk. Hiscox doesn't just offer general liability for those risks, so they offer professional liability, sometimes a BOP on there as well. This page would show you all of those products. So you'd be going into Appulate, you'd be getting the general liability application filled in Appulate, but the beauty of where it sends you when you get sent over to the Hiscox Now site is that it provides you that option to cross-sell if that is a possibility, or to upsell and go into a BOP instead. So that's something that's kind of nice about where you land on here. You would have to answer those additional questions that fall into that professional liability or liability product that you'd be adding on. But again, it gives you that option to cross-sell, give your customer more coverage. Also, if you scroll up, Sarah, I just want to highlight something. For those that do have a Hiscox account through J. Brown, you see that sign in section at the top. I would always recommend for you to sign in. We don't have to do that today, but I'd always recommend you to sign in at that time or create a Hiscox account, because what it will do is it will actually save your credentials for next time in the Hiscox system. So it'd be easy to retrieve this quote in that site if you were ready to actually bind and pay for the account, for the policy at a later date. So I just wanted to highlight that. So also you can see the number on the screen in front there. At this time, feel free to call that number. That's the reference number, but also the phone number. You can always call. We've got our licensed advisors on the phones 15 hours a day, 5 days a week, ready to take your call. So if you ever need any help with the quote or any servicing, please feel free to call that number. So yeah, Sarah, if we can go back down and click on Continue. We're just going to go really quickly to the next couple of pages. So as you can see, the information that you've put into Appulate is pre-populated into this the Hiscox application, because all the questions are exactly the same. So everything that you've entered is already there. There's nothing additional that you need to add. If you forgot something, like, oh, they actually do sign painting, you can always add that at this point. But again, it should just be very seamless. You're just going through and verifying the information. Okay, so this one, let's see if we can get that going through. This did work last time.
Yeah. Just a second. There we go.
Let's see if this goes through. Okay. This doesn't seem to be going through.
Residential plumbing, and we need a commercial, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it should already be ticked with commercial though. So this is just additional services. So it's going to be something that we put on the original. So if you want to go back, Sarah, if you want to go back to the Appulate submission really quickly. Again, that's showing that price, so that shouldn't be affected here. Okay, let me think.
Let me go back to the subject section. I'm going to make sure there's nothing missing here. If you think of anything while I'm going through this, please stop me. But I'm just looking for it myself.
No, I think it's okay. It should be. Is it possible to change to just J. Brown and Associates rather than the test account and actually do
sure.
the production and copy that?
So you can see that you can add to market on the fly. It's already answered. Now we can just click submit.
And again, those limits are going to be 300K, 300K, but for the purpose of this, it's not an issue. We can write up to $2 million in limits of liability on this class of business. So let's see if we can get through to that final quote screen. So again, as Sarah was saying, very easy if you want to add another market. Well, if you're looking to do other general liability products, it's quite easy. It's pretty fast stuff. So we go back through. Second time's the charm here.
Right. All right. There we go.
Here we go. Okay, we made it. All right, so this number that you see on the screen, that's $664. That is going to be the number that's also displayed in Appulate. So it's, again, that the quote is exactly the same put through here. You can see in the general liability section the occurrence and aggregate limit. Again, they're the same as what was put in there, 300K, 300K. You can change that here if needs be and recalculate that premium. You can also add some additional coverage options in here. But for the purpose of this demo, we're not going to do that. So if we keep going down, what you need to do is you'll need to click that button saying my customer has read and agrees with these statements. And again, that's the important information. So if Sarah, if you could quickly click on important information, that's a quick pop-up box that'll come up there, which includes the claims and loss history in there. So you'd have to read through that carefully to make sure that still applies. So we can exit out of there, Sarah. And some of you might be familiar with this if you've been through the Hiscox Now journey anyway. Again, we won't click on download quote, but if you did, it would show you exactly the same PDF of that quote that was in the Appulate system. So again, the two systems are talking very clearly. So if you click continue now, Sarah, you'll get through to the next piece of it. So you're getting very, very close to being able to actually bind this up. What you need to do is you need to have that box ticked where you're accepting the email, electronic transactions, and then also you're confirming that the information below is correct. And so that's that forward warning, policy cancellation, and then you can recheck the application information if needs be. And yeah, click continue, please, Sarah. Here's the option here where you can obviously pay monthly, where we just require a down payment of 25% on this class of business, but on most it's the first and last month payment, or it can be paid annually. So if you click on that monthly one for me, Sarah, then all that will be needed is the credit card or the debit card of the customer put in there. Once this says complete, that's it. It's bound same-day liability coverage, and we'll be sending the policy documents immediately. They're automatically sent to you, the agent. J. Brown gets a copy as well, and then it also goes to the customer. And included in that will be the Accord 25 certificate of insurance, which we know, a lot of customers, a lot of small businesses need immediately to start a contract. And just another thing to note, which is on the right-hand side here, you can see that it's automatic renewal. So if we don't hear of any changes to the policy, any claims, any changes in the services, then this sort of policy will just keep on renewing year after year until any change is made. And so it's really as simple as that. So we look at Appulate as a streamlined and smoother way to get the information in, and then bridging over to J. Brown's Hiscox Now portal to finish off the bind and pay. And then everything with regards to the servicing and the billing of that account going forward is all on the Hiscox side. So really the Appulate piece is it's a fantastic submission engine, and then the business is with Hiscox as it would usually be if you went through the Hiscox Now portal directly. And that's everything that I had with regards to that. I hope that made sense to everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Will. And that is everything I believe from the Appulate side.
Time for questions, huh?
Michael, do you want to open it up for questions?
Yeah, let's do that. So folks, now's the time if you have questions about what you've seen today. I know some of you joining us are familiar with Appulate and or Hiscox now. Some of you may not be. And if you're not, we're certainly happy to answer questions that you may have. If your questions pertain to, other J.E. Brown items or, Hiscox underwriting, I'll probably take those offline. So we'll probably just try to address those that pertain to this partnership and what we've seen here today. All right, so I do see one here. So the first one I'm seeing is, sorry, just to interrupt myself here. We've gone just under 30 minutes here with this demonstration, and even that would be a pretty good time for binding a small account, but that's with all of our explanation and a slight technical snafu in the test environment. Forgive us for that. But I think if you take out all of that, you're talking about possibly a 10-minute quote to bind, process. So I just want to kind of, step back a moment and look at the big picture and say that's pretty remarkable. So for a small account, some of you may or may not work on small commercial accounts where you're talking about premiums of $1,000, but hey, if you combine that thing in 10 minutes, wouldn't that be advantageous? So one question I think is from somebody who's not currently an Appulate user, and that is, how do I get started? Where can I find information on Appulate? So that's probably a Sarah question.
Sure. Yeah. If you and I'll actually, if you guys don't mind, I'll pull up Appulate's website. You can just go to appulate.com. Oh, let me sign us out real quick. Go to appulate.com. This will be the main screen that you see as a first-time user. You can go ahead and click sign in at the very top. Go ahead and enter in your email address and click on forgot password. If it allows you to reset your password, you actually already have Appulate credentials and just need to reset the password to be able to use the system. If the system says that you do not have Appulate credentials, go ahead and click sign up now and simply fill out your company information. It's as simple as that.
All right. Next question I think is also for Sarah, and it's, do my Accorda applications have to be complete prior to upload?
No, not necessarily. You can uplink, of course, what you have. You don't even have to have Accord forms if you choose not to. You may choose to start directly within the Appulate system. I'm going to go ahead and just log myself in here, and I'll show you again how to do that. So if you don't have Accord forms, you can just click on Insured up at the top, which is actually what it defaults to, and click on Add New Customer Prospect. But if your Accords that you're uplinking are partial, no worries. Just uplink what you have, and the system will do the rest. It's going to ask you those missing and required questions and allow you to provide the information that's needed.
Okay, so there's another question here. This one's probably, I can probably take this, but Will, feel free and chime in. Do we need to use Appulate to bind with Hiscox versus going directly to Hiscox? No, you certainly can. If you know that Hiscox is your chosen market, it's something you've bound before, a class that you feel is competitive and you just want to go straight there, you certainly can. Will earlier highlighted some of the benefits of using the Appulate system, that being, the real-time underwriting indications and the ability to, use it to shop with other markets, to generate those accords. So there's some benefit in doing that, but certainly if you want to go directly, we are all for it. All right, folks, if you have entered questions that are not directly pertinent to this Appulate Hiscox Now partnership, we'll take those offline. I do want to show my screen one more time here, Sarah, so I'm going to take back presentership, and I'm just going to show people one other thing on our site, just in case you are, after today, you want more information. There's a search bar at the top of our site, and you can put in virtually any term, insurance term that you're looking for, company name, etc. You can see Appulate is one of those that I've typed before. And when you do that, you're going to get any content on our site that relates to that search term. And so you'll see we have an article here about this partnership, and we have some links here. Password if maybe you haven't been in there in a while and you've forgotten it. And then there's some other information here about the Hiscox product and a pre-recorded training demo. So if after today you feel like, hey, I need to see that again, or some aspect of the demonstration that you missed, there's a pre-recorded version here. All right, so folks, I want to thank our two panelists, Sarah Johnson and Will Chambers from Hiscox. And I want to encourage you to reach out to us if you have questions. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your business, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.